Hello BookTube and welcome to the Literary Buffet. My name is Louis and I was away for some time. I was actually on a business trip to Singapore, and so I brought you some books from Singapore. So this video will be a little book haul. There's also some books that arrived at my doorstep while I was away, so I'll also show those. But yeah, so in Singapore, what did I get? First of all, I picked up this one. This is from the Chinese author Mo Yan. It's called Shifu, You'll Do Anything for a Laugh, and it's a collection of short stories. So Mo Yan is the only Chinese author so far who has won the Nobel Prize in Literature. I want to say a couple of decades ago. I did read The Republic of Wine or The Republic of Liquor from him, and I quite liked it. It's quite experimental and quite hallucinatory in its descriptions. So I look forward to see what he does in his short stories. Then I have a bunch of Japanese books that I picked up in Singapore. I think, with the exception of two books, I think most of them you can also just get in the US or in Europe. Yeah, I just happened to come across them there, so I picked them up. So I have three books by the Japanese author Soseki Natsume. Soseki lived around the turn of the century, so the turn of the 19th to the 20th century in Japan, which was, of course, the time when Japan was industrializing very, very rapidly and competing or starting to compete with the European powers. And I think it was in 1905 that Japan actually won a war against the Russian Empire. This book and the next one, they were actually published around that time, so in 1906. The first one is Botchan, and the next one is Kusamakura. So both novels from Soseki. And then I also got this one, which is Soseki's collected haiku. So 1000 haiku by Soseki. So I think we kind of try to associate haiku with the Edo period Japan, or even earlier. So the kind of post-medieval Japan. But haiku were written until much later. So Soseki wrote haiku, and I think they're still written today. Since we skipped Poetry Thursday as I was traveling, I thought let's just give you a little poem while we're here. So just open it randomly, and so let's just take this one here. Open for mosquitoes, nothing but mouth, a toad's face. So this is a summer poem. This so it looks very thick, this book, but it's actually because it uses very thick paper. It's actually not that big. It's around 300 pages. And it has like little pictures here and there. So here you have a little picture of a set of Go, the East Asian game. So, but yeah, it's a nice book of haiku. Then the next two are actually the finds from Southeast Asian literature. And these are really quite impossible to find here. At least I've never seen these imprints actually here. The first one is, and I'll have to read it, it's by Veeraporn Nitiprabha. She is a Thai author, and it's called The Blind Earthworm in the Labyrinth. So this is a novel from, I think, 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a bestseller in Thailand. It's translated by Kong Rit-Thi. And it's basically like a family story in Thailand. So it won a literary award, so the Southeast Asian Writers Literary Award. And I'm trying to find the quote here. Yeah, so one of the Thai commentators on it, or reviewers, call her, so Veeraporn and Niti Praha, the Thailand's Arundhati Roy. So that's quite high praise. So let's see what it is. And then another one that I wasn't sure whether I had, and I did have like a very old version, so I'm happy to have like a new one. This is the Malay Annals, or the Sejarah Melayu, which is a chronicle of the history of the Malaysian city of Malacca. So basically its rise and its fall. And it's considered one of the masterpieces of Malay literature. It was written in the 17th century. So after the events, Malacca was actually one of the main trading cities of Southeast Asia until the Portuguese came, and then they conquered it. And then after that, I think the Dutch came, and then several others, the British at some point. But you know, it's before that, so it's the rise of the Sultanate of, I think it was Sultanate of Malacca. Then something completely different. So I also got like a non-fiction book while I was in Singapore, and that's Thinking with Machines. It's basically a book about AI, the brave new world of AI. So let's see what this is about and how this is. And then a couple of books that arrived while I was away. So first one is ginormous. It's The American People, Part 2, The Brutality of Fact, by Larry Kramer. So this is, I think, one of the books that Steve Donahue has praised a lot. He actually is blurred on the back. And I think I'll just read you his blurb. He probably can tell you more than I could. So this is the greatest, most alarming, most insane AIDS novel anybody is ever going to write or want to write. Larry Kramer himself is fiercely present on virtually every page of the book, reminding readers that he's been yelling at them for half a century. The book is with a white-out blizzard of anger, outrage, showboating, and satire. So it's basically a masterpiece of gay literature. It's the second part of this duet of books. So the first part, I received it a couple of months earlier, and I think I've already shown it on some other video. But I think this is like the more iconic one with, if I'm not mistaken, Larry Kramer's face on the cover. Then another one that arrived while I was away is this one here. Also quite an iconic cover, if you ask me. It's The Sugar Kremlin by Vladimir Sorokin. Vladimir Sorokin is a Russian author. He wrote, among others, The Day of the Oprichnik, which I've read a few years ago, and is kind of like a phantasmagorical reimagining of Russia under a leader who is very similar to Putin and who has his thugs, which are reminiscent of the Oprichniks of Ivan the Terrible in the Middle Ages. And you just follow one of those, thugs. And so apparently The Sugar Kremlin is the book that immediately follows up on it. It's more of a loose collection of stories, but that all take place in this phantasmagorical world that he has imagined. So I actually look forward to reading this. And then last but not least, I also have another nonfiction book that arrived. This one that actually some other YouTuber or booktuber has shown. And it got me just quite interested. It's called Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe. And it's kind of like a history of kind of like a civilizational history, if you want, on the Aboriginal inhabitants of Australia, and just shows that actually they weren't kind of like these nomads that lived from the land, but that they did practice agriculture, aquaculture, and they actually cultivated the land to a certain extent. Um, and I think this is quite interesting. If you remember, or if you saw in some other video, I showed this book called Civilizations by Felipe Fernandez Armesto, who argued that you have to define civilization based on the terrain and the climate that people live in, and how much they actually live with the land but transform the land can give you a sign of civilization. And obviously, as we know, Australia before colonization, it's almost like a desert country, or at least a very rough country. And by the same token, then you have to define civilization in a slightly different way. So you can't really expect, temples and whatnot over there. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that Aboriginal Australians were primitive. On the contrary, and I think this is what this book wants to prove, is that they did actually transform the Australian continent, and that they did do agriculture, aquaculture, and a few other things there. So it's called Dark Emu, Aboriginal Australia and the Birth of Agriculture. That's it for today. So more of a short video this time. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time, BookTube. Bye bye.